Welcome to the 14th video in this series, making Frogger with Godot. In this video, we're going to turn our attention to the main screen. That's going to look something a little bit like what you see on the screen here. So we're going to have a label with the title. We're going to have up to the top 10 high scores that we've made laid out in the middle of the screen. We'll use some kind of grid, I think, for that. And then visually, we're going to add some little animated frogs of different sizes, which randomly walk across the screen. And then in a later video, we'll add in a little shader as well to make these rings. So back inside the IDE then, I've gone and closed everything down and cleaned everything up so that we can make sort of a fresh start with this. For this, we'll need a user interface scene. So I'm going to click the user interface button here and change the name of this to main. Then we can save this inside the scenes folder with a new folder main and save. Then to make a color background here, we'll add in a color rect node to this and we can go full rect. Then on the right hand side here for the color, I had 3C61D7, which is a kind of blue color, but then wanted to add a bit of transparency actually to this. So really I'm going to drag the slider down quite a bit like this. So we've just got this nice sort of transparency background. Then the layout here, what we're going to do is have some margin on the top and the bottom and a little bit on the left and right. So we'll add a margin container as a child of the main node. So I'll press the plus up here and we want the margin container, change the name of this to MC to shorten it a bit. And then we can go full rect with this. Then on the right hand side in the theme overrides and constants, do 24 pixels left, 96 top, 24 right and 96 bottom, I think, and we can always adjust that if we need to. So do Control-S to save. And now we'll lay everything out vertically in this margin container. So we'll add a VB, a VBox container here, and I'll change the name of this to VB. And then inside here, we need a label for the title, and then we're going to add a grid container for our scores. So we'll add ourselves a label. And that can go horizontal, center, vertical, center. We can make ourselves also some new label settings inside here. So the font, we can load up the bold font. The size needs to be really big, something like 128. The color here can also be, I guess, a nice green color as well. So we've got Frogger, and we could add ourselves also a little bit of outline to this one as well. Maybe something quite big, 16 outline, and have maybe a darker looking green or something like that on here. I think that'll look okay, I think. So I'll do Control-S to save. Then let's add ourselves also a grid container for the scores. So we'll select the VB here, add, and then we want to find a grid container. And for columns here on the right hand side, we can set the number of columns. Say let's set it to 3. Why not? I'll do Control-S to save. Actually, let's change the name of this to scores container. And then with the scores container selected, let's go to the layout at the top here and we'll do shrink center for horizontal and shrink center for vertical as well. And then as children of this, we're going to basically have a load of our top high scores. We don't have any of those at the moment because we haven't worked on the score persisting yet. So for now, we'll put some placeholders in here. So let's make a new scene and we'll add here a label as the root node. I'll call this score label. On the right hand side, we can load up actually some label settings. I'll load up the label white 24. And as a placeholder, I'll just put 5 zeros in here, and then we can go horizontal center, vertical center. Open up this, we'll make this actually unique. And then I went actually for a blue color for this one. So go for the color here and go for blue like this. Maybe up the size of this as well, maybe to 48. Obviously, we can always change it if we need to. And then maybe a bit of outline actually as well. So put a bit of outline on this and also put a blue in here and maybe a slightly darker blue as well. So I'll drop that down a little bit. That should be, I think, okay, maybe 8 pixels of outline. So I'll do Control-S to save. I haven't saved that, so up to scenes, new folder, score label, and save. So with that done, what we can do is go over to the main, and we can instantiate a few of these as children of the scores container to take a look what it looks like. So I'll click the instantiate and find then the score label. There it is. And I'm going to duplicate these a load of times to have a quick look at how things look. Okay, so we could maybe go up to 16 scores or indeed make the font bigger. The gap between them isn't very good, so selecting the scores container here and the theme overrides and the constants, horizontal and vertical separation, I'll try 24 pixels. Will that be okay? Yeah, that doesn't look too bad. And now what I'd like to do is get this sort of centered, so some space between the title and it, and still maintain space at the bottom here. So to do that, what we'll do is a little bit of a cheat. We'll use a couple of controls that basically expand to fill the remaining space. So at the moment, if I select the margin container, you can see that this is the margin that it's already allocated. And this is all the remaining space that we've got inside. So we're going to split this using a control. So selecting the VB here, we can do a plus, just add a control, and I'll change the name of this to spacer. And then with that selected at the top here, we can expand that vertically by selecting this switch here. And you can see now it's filling all of that space. And then if we duplicate that spacer and just drag that one up to here, what that'll do is fill the space that's between the label and the container here. So we've got the space nicely filled. Okay, so I'll do Control-S to save. I think that's more or less what we need for our look. It would be nice to run this, so I'm going to run this scene and take a look. Yeah, it doesn't look too bad, so I'll close that down and close down the output. One thing I do notice is the outline of the label doesn't look brilliant there, does it at all? What's going on here with all this fuzziness? That's a little bit better. It's a little bit light, isn't it? So I think what I might do is click here actually and just darken that down a little bit as well. Okay, so I'll save that and go back here. Doesn't really make much difference, but it's okay as is. Maybe it could be a tiny bit bigger actually. So go back to the score label and we'll change this size maybe to 54. Control-S to save, go back to the main. Okay, yeah, that looks a little bit better. All right then, so that's our main layout done. What I'd like to do is add these animated frogs in here as well. To do this, let's make a new scene and then we'll make a new 2D scene here. I'll call this main screen sprite for want of anything better. And as a child to this, we can add an animated sprite 2D. And then we should already have a resource for our animated sprite frames. So we can click the quick load on the right hand side here. Yep, we've got the frog frames. So we can select those. Then click on the frog frames on the right hand side. And we want the walk animation to autoplay here. So I'll do Control S to save. Haven't saved that one either. So let's go into Scenes, New Folder, Main Screen Sprite, and save. Now I'll close down the sprite frames. So the way this works is it basically just randomly puts itself in the screen somewhere and then walks off the screen. And when it's off the screen, it removes itself from the game. At the same time, it's also going to set itself with a random scale and also a random speed. So we'll deal with the walking off the screen. There's a node actually that does that for us. So I'll select the root node and we can add the visible, and we want the on-screen notifier 2D, please, not the enabler. It happens a lot that people accidentally add the enabler. We need the notifier here, not the enabler. So the visible on-screen notifier 2D. I'm going to change the name of this to screen notifier. It's just a little bit shorter. Hit enter and then zoom in a little bit on this and extend the extents of this. I've got snap on. It doesn't really matter so long as it's surrounding the frog. That's the main thing. So it'll only remove itself once all of this box has gone off the screen. So I'll do Control S to save. Then selecting the root node, let's add a new script to this and click create. And then selecting the screen notifier, going to signals on the right hand side, we can double click on screen exited, connect up the signal, and in here we can simply queue free. Then I'll make a bit of space on the right hand side and on the left hand side here, so hopefully you can see the code as well. In fact, I'll go to actually distraction free mode. I think that's better. So effectively what we're going to do here is we're going to randomly scale this a little bit, give it some random speed and also a random direction, and then it just basically sets off at that scale, direction and speed until it leaves the screen. To do this, I'd like to add in a few constants at the top that makes, I think, the code a little bit easier to read. So we'll add in a base speed. That's going to be 80 pixels a second. Then we'll give that a little bit of variance. So we're going to have plus or minus 20 pixels per second on top of this when we start setting up our random velocity. Then we'll also add in a couple of constants for scale as well. So we'll scale ourselves between 0.2 and 0.8. And then we'll add ourselves a variable as well, which is going to be the velocity, which we're going to calculate in the ready. We can apply this then in the process. So before calculating in the ready, let's actually do this in the process. What we'll do then is simply translate ourselves in the direction that we're facing. So that'll be then our velocity multiplied by delta. Then inside the ready, what we'll do is we'll calculate ourselves a scale factor. So I'll type var and scale factor. That's going to be a float type. And that'll be equal to randef range, min scale, max scale. And then we will scale ourselves according to that. So we'll say our scale is equal to, and then we can take a vector2.1. So that's just simply 1 by 1 and multiply that then by our scale factor. Now, if you're wondering why I didn't put all this on one line, we're about to use that for something else as well. And that something else is actually going to be the speed. Then we can set up our velocity, which is going to be a direction that we're going to go in multiplied by a speed. So let's make the direction first of all. So we'll make a var direction. That's going to be a vector2. And effectively what we want is we want a random vector2 facing in any direction. And there's a function on the vector2 called from angle, if I remember correctly. Yeah, from angle. And what we can do here is just basically do tau multiplied by randef. So tau is a full circle in radians, so effectively we're getting a vector2 from a random angle from 0 to 360 degrees if you like. And then we can also get ourselves a speed as well. So we'll say that our speed, that's going to be a float, is equal to, and then we're going to get our base speed that we have, and add on to that then a randef range of minus speed variance and plus speed variance. And then finally, we can use these two to set up our velocity. So we'll say that our velocity is equal to our direction, and that can be multiplied by our speed, and we'll multiply this also by the scale factor. And finally, we're going to rotate ourselves. So we'll set the rotation that's going to be equal to our direction that we're going in and the angle. Now this won't quite work because the sprite that we have is actually facing upwards and we need it to face to the right if you like. So we need to add on 90 degrees to this rotation. So we'll add on then deg to rad and 90. And that should be everything we actually need now for our main screen sprite. What we need to do now is spawn these in at regular intervals into the main scene. So we can go back to the main scene, go to 2D view, select the root node and let's add a new script to our main scene. And then we need access to our main screen sprite. So I'm going to type main into here and control drag a reference into here of our main screen sprite. And then we'll add ourselves a timer for spawning these in as well. So with the root node selected, we can add in a timer and also drag in a reference to the timer. And then with the timer selected on the right hand side, double click on the timeout, connect this up so that we can spawn one of these frogs each time the timer times out. We can get rid of the process. We're not going to need that. And on the right hand side for the timer, actually, let's have a look at the properties in the inspector. So we don't want to be auto starting here and we do want to be one shot. What we're going to do is we're going to start the timer each time it's timed out with a little bit of randomization. So let's write a new function called spawn sprite. Then we'll write a var, and that can be MSS for main screen sprite. That's our type node2d. And that can be set equal then to our main screen sprite.instantiate. Once that's done, we can add this as a child. And then we want to restart the timer. So we'll get the timer.start and we'll do randef range 0.5 to 1. Then inside the ready, what we can do is get hold of the spawn sprite here and also inside the timer timeout. And whilst we're in the ready here, because I know I'm going to forget later on, let's do the getTree.paused equal to false. Okay, that's nearly complete. The only issue is doing this, the position of it's going to be at 0 by 0, which we don't want. We want it to be randomly positioned somewhere in the middle of the screen with a little bit of margin from the edges. And I think probably we should do this on the main screen sprite. So let's go back into the main screen sprite and into the ready here, and we'll set it up with a random position. So what we'll do then is we'll get hold of the viewport rect, and we need some kind of margin here as well. So I'm going to go to the top and add a new constant here, call this one margin. And we'll set this to be maybe, let's say 60 pixels from the edge, something like that. Don't need to be too precise with this. And what we want to do is find a position within our viewport rect, including that margin. So what we can do is get this rect, and then we can do a viewport rect, which is a rect2 dot, and there's a function on there called grow. We can shrink that then by the margin from all of the edges. Now what we can do is get hold of our position. Now it's the same as global position in this case, because we're not the child of another node 2D or anything like that. So we can say our position is equal to then a new vector 2. Then we can do random range, and the viewport rect position x and the viewport rect index. And then we can do the same thing with the y. And that should give our screen sprite then a random starting position. So we've got a little bit of code in here, but it's nothing particularly tricky. Random scale, random direction, setting up a velocity in that direction, rotating ourselves, and then putting ourselves hopefully somewhere randomly in the screen. And then on the main.gd, assuming everything's okay, we spawn a sprite immediately, and then we keep spawning them between 1/2 and 1 second intervals, starting the timer each time we spawned a new sprite. So what we can do then is run this. That's interesting. I thought I did actually set this using the menu here. So right click, set as main scene. Did I not do that? Never mind. Okay, so main is now the main scene. So I'll run this. And yay, we've got frogs appearing on the screen. Okay, they're on top of the label, on top of the scores. I don't want that. So I'm going to close that down, close down the output, go back to the main screen sprite, select the root node. And in the canvas item ordering on the right hand side, let's set the Z index to -10 here. And then actually before running the application, one last thing I'd like to do, let's check that this is okay. I'll explain why in a moment. So on screen notified, screen exited. There we go. So let's run this now. I'd like to see some notifications. So, okay, we're getting frogs that are definitely behind the label and behind the scores. And now I can see the notifier firing. What I'm going to do now is actually just click here and put this window behind and see if we get, yes, we still get the notifier firing. Okay, so this node has improved a lot, but in older versions of Godot, if you put your window behind something else, then this screen exited wouldn't fire. And it's worth testing this on your operating system, especially if you're on a Mac, because sometimes it can be a little bit tricky, or if the window is minimized. And if it is critical in your game for this to fire, if you're relying on logic, I'd usually recommend actually not using it and using the viewport rect or something like that. Anyway, here it seems to be okay, and for our main screen, it's more than all right. So I'll bring back up the game. We've got loads of frogs wandering around. Cool. So I'll close that down, close down the output. To finish this, there's one more thing we could add actually. Let's go to the main, and we'll add an audio stream player to this, and I'll change the name of this to music. Then on the right hand side, we can load up a stream and type 189, and we should find the frogs forever inside here. Set that to autoplay. And now we run this, what we should hear are some frog sounds. Yay, we do, cool. So I'll close that down and close down the output. And I think then that is a good place to stop this particular video. As always, thanks very, very much for watching. In the next video, what we're going to do is work on that little shader so we can have this sort of circle drops effects in the background as well. So I'll see you there for that one.